Hi folks, back again. This is number 11 of the Bathrobe Chronicles. Tonight I'd like to talk a little about psychics. Specifically these folks like John Edward, I believe his name is, Sylvia Brown, and all the others like that. The folks who can predict the future and talk to the dead, or as sometimes they say, people who have crossed over. I can understand, when someone dies, that we would really like to talk to them. I can understand that. Possibly prior to their death there were some things that weren't said. Possibly prior to their death some things, well, in the case of a spouse or something, you could have had an argument, you might want to apologize or something like that. And if you believe psychics can talk to people who have died, then obviously you have, I would hope you have some preconceived idea of what it's like after you die. In other words, I guess the U.S. is basically a Christian nation, and I would imagine most Christians believe in heaven as well as hell. So what goes on in heaven? In other words, if you are going to pay a psychic to talk to the dead, have you sat down and thought about that? Thought about what actually goes on in heaven? Do people just float around, or what in the heck are they doing up there? Or are they just praying to God still? That's what we were supposed to do on earth to get to heaven. Is that what we're doing once we're up there? Or is it like a really nice place? Do people live forever and all of that? Most of you, I would imagine, have never heard of the spaghetti monster. This was a religion dreamed up by a young fellow who, I think it was a Kansas, was it Kansas? Yeah, I think it was a Kansas Board of Education who was going to teach creation. And he dreamed up this spaghetti monster and said that he wanted that taught also, that it made as much sense as the other stuff. But the neat thing about his religion, if you will, is that he did have an idea of what his heaven was like, the spaghetti monster. They had beer volcanoes and a lot of strip clubs. Hey, I didn't dream this up, he did. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about, psychics. So if you actually went to a psychic, to have the psychic like talk to, let's say, your mom or your spouse or your brother or whomever, before you should sit down and really think about what's going on wherever these people are, and how do they continue to live after they are dead. Their body's dead. Now I'm sure you aren't going to refute that. Their body's dead, so you must believe there's some kind of spirit stuff going on. So anyway, okay, well, let's get to the psychics. Okay, let's just assume for whatever reason that you can buy into this. A person dies, but something is left, and this person or whatever is left that a psychic can talk to. Makes absolutely no sense, but hey, what can I say? Now, like John Edward, I've seen him on TV. I don't know if he still has a program, but he used to have his TV program. I'm not sure what he called it, but it may have been Crossing Over. I think someone had something called Crossing Over. So John Edward comes out, what are they, a couple hundred people out there, and he starts off by saying, I feel an M, I feel an M, I see an M. Hey people, come on, give me a break. What kind of psychic only sees an M? I mean, this isn't much of a psychic. I'm not kidding. If you went to your mechanic to have your car worked on, the mechanic said, I see a brake, I see a brake. What would you say? You think the guy's a moron. Well, you should think John Edward and all these other so-called psychics are morons also. Okay, let's go from there. I see an M, I see an M. And of course somebody in the audience is going to jump up or yell, oh yes, an M, an M. I mean, how many millions of names are there with an M? Or I think J's another good one too. You know, John, James, Jonas, you know, on and on and on. So what this is called is cold reading. It's real simple. The guy throws out something, someone pipes up, oh yes, that's John. And then you can look at this person and have some idea of what's going on. They're all there to talk to someone who's crossed over. So if this person is elderly, you know, you might assume that possibly, well, elderly, whatever that means, that possibly a spouse died or something. And you might say, oh, and then John Edward or someone, or hey, maybe even I would say something like, oh,